The global AI disruption is being acutely felt in Asia, according to a new UN report. The region now hosts more than half of the world's AI users, but the study claims nations lack the infrastructure for any meaningful gains from the technology. The UNDP says unmanaged AI could deepen inequality between countries, with this divide most visible in Asia, where countries differ widely in income levels, digital capacity, and governance. For more on the report, let's speak to Philip Schellekens, Chief Economist at the UNDP Asia Pacific Regional Bureau. Thank you, Philip, for making the time to speak with us today. Can I start off by asking, what was the most surprising or unexpected finding from this report?
Well, for the last 200 years, we have seen mainly a divergence in income levels between countries. We have seen greater inequality between countries, with exception for the last 50 of selected parts in Asia, particularly, where we've seen convergence in income levels. So the most surprising part of this report is that actually we think that AI can be an amplifier of global inequality in the future. And there is therefore need for AI to be managed better so it's more inclusive and can actually benefit developing countries. But developing countries can take advantage better of the benefits of AI while also being better able to manage the disruptions.
Help us understand more clearly, how exactly could AI amplify this inequality?
Well, I think the global conversation on AI needs to be reframed. At the moment, the conversation is too much sort of cast in terms of hysteria and hype. We need more balance. But secondly, the conversation also needs to be more holistic. Right now, we often talk about economic growth and productivity, but it is better to look at the impact of AI on human development. And what we have done in the report is to look through the lens of inequality at the effect of AI on people, on their capabilities, their human security, also on the interest of future generations. Also look at the impact of AI on the economy in terms of growth and jobs. And then thirdly, look at the impact of AI on governance. And what we find is that in each of these dimensions, it is actually the poorer countries that are less well equipped to take advantage of the benefits. So, for example, let me give you an example. AI can be used, for example, in social protection to target the benefits in a better way. But in countries where you don't have a good data registry, you can't really make use of that technique. You know? At the same time, we see, for example, women in South Asia, only about 40% have access to internet on their cell phones or have a cell phone. So that limits the applicability or the potential of AI to help in many different ways, such as providing greater information. So we think that there is, on the one hand, a capability gap. In poorer countries, there are fewer capabilities to take advantage of the benefits, but there's also a vulnerability gap. Which is that in the poorer countries, there will be a greater exposure to the potential negative impacts of AI.
You mentioned this capability gap. What needs to be done to address this?
Well, I think the beauty of this report is that it answers that question in a very differentiated way. Look, Asia Pacific, as you said before, is the world's testing ground in a way for the rollout of AI and to see whether AI can benefit humanity in terms of driving prosperity, but also improving inclusion and doing so in a sustainable way. We still see a 200-fold income gap. Asia Pacific is actually, through that lens, the most unequal region in the whole world. The difference between the richest economy in the world in terms of per capita income and the poorest, Singapore and Afghanistan, is more than 200 times. And we see that there are still 1.3 billion informal sector workers, 700 million women who are out of the labor force, about half a billion people who are living in various forms of poverty, and 200 million people who are in extreme poverty. So what needs to be done depends really on the starting point. Yeah? So in some countries, it will consist of investing more in the hard infrastructure, access to electricity, making sure that digital literacy skills are up to par. But there's also a lot of work that needs to be done on the soft infrastructure. And it is a mistake to just think of the benefits of AI as making sure that the hard infrastructure is put into place. Technology is one thing, but the second thing is, how people are actually using the technology. And then we developed recommendations that are differentiated according to capacity levels. For example, the Singapores and the Chinas in this world or in this region who are very much at the head of the AI race, there is enormous potential for these countries to actually help shape regional and global governance and to present models of AI that can compete with global models where others can benefit from taking them into account.
You had mentioned the disparity, especially when it comes to women. I understand from the report, it highlighted that women's jobs are more exposed to automation. Why is that?
Well, if you look at the typical makeup of in the labor markets in countries like Bangladesh or in the Philippines, we see that women are disproportionately active in labor-intensive sectors where routine work is more prevalent. So AI could subject to smarter robotics, AI-enabled robotics could herald a next wave of automation in the manufacturing industry. Think of the garment industry in Bangladesh, for example, which is predominantly staffed by women. We can also think about the call centers, the business process outsourcing work that is done in the Philippines, but also in India and also in Bangladesh and many other countries, where AI is operating both as an enabler for these jobs to be more productive, but also a clear rival. And we can see that, and it is also there that many women are active. So it is not necessarily intrinsically a feature of gender, but it is the fact that women are working in sectors that are more likely to be affected by the labor market substitution effects across the region.
Thank you, Philip, for sharing those updates and insights with us. We were speaking to Philip Schellekens, Chief Economist at the UNDP Asia Pacific Regional Bureau.